And there you have it, the finale of Chainsaw Man. And I have to say, I'm sort of mixed. Like, there's a part of me that sort of wants to creep up and say, that was kind of anticlimactic. Like, the fights just kind of wrapped up pretty darn quick. I mean, yes, technically, the Katana Man fight kind of stretched out for quite a little bit, but still, it just felt like they kind of resolved very quickly. Katana Man had, like, one really cool gimmick, and that was to do this super katana samurai stereotypical dash thing, and then Denji fooled him, and that was it. And when it came to the whole situation with Sawatari, it was just like, don't kill her. Okay, that was over. I think the Sawatari fight was quite easily the most anticlimactic. Now, it was really cool having the idea that Aki was given this last cigarette that she gave him, and then he uses the information that he knew from Himeno to kill the Ghost Devil, which was that part was cool. It's just Sawatari herself was just like, oh, because Kobane. because Kobane is ninja. I don't know. Again, it just felt a little bit anticlimactic, but still, solid episode. There was a couple scenes that were actually added, or at least one scene was changed and one scene was added with this episode. The whole conversation that Denji had with the Katana Man on the train was completely anime original. They had this long conversation about, oh, you seem like you've sharpened your skills. What are you fighting for? If I kick your butt, then Makima will praise me or something like that. That was all original. The weird thing that was changed, and I don't think that's a big deal. The weird thing that was changed, which I think is sort of significant, was that when they're inside the train and the Katana Man does his little dash, in the manga, Denji shields the girl. She was laying out in the middle of the walkway and Denji shielded her. Whereas in the anime, she's kind of just chilling there on the side and then the Katana Man goes by him and that was it. Again, it's kind of the difference between Denji seeing her and kind of panicking for a second and him going out of his way to shield somebody. Which, again, going back to the whole conversation about the Bat Devil and the whole car guy and all that kind of stuff, it sort of paints a little picture in Denji that he still sort of does defend people, which when a big portion of your character development and your character arc for Denji is he still human? That seems like a big deal. I mean, even in this episode, that comes to question. When the Katana Man confronts him and says, look, we were going to give ourselves up, as depending on what you do, we want you to give yourself up, basically. I want my revenge. These guys want their revenge. You killed my grandpa. And then it gets into talking about how Denji's like, no, they were just zombies, dude. And he's like, even if they were zombies, I still feel bad when I kill zombies because they were once humans. You don't feel that, so you're not technically human. So just give yourself up. And he's like, nope. Like, no, I don't care. Again, a big portion of Denji's storyline, his character is he human? And that scene sort of does hint at his humanity. His willingness to defend some random stranger because they're human, and he would technically want to do that. But no, I'm getting ahead of myself. The whole thing with Aki and the Ghost Devil, it was a little bit, honestly, I'm still a little bit confused by it, because like in the previous episode, they had this whole situation where, again, Sawatari used her Snake Devil to capture the Ghost Devil, and then she just puts it down, and it's obeying her command. The only thing I think there is that it's not necessarily that the Ghost Devil is under Sawatari's control, but actuality, it is just playing off fear. And at that brief moment when he first encountered the Ghost Devil, he had some sort of fear in his head. And so the ghost reacted to that. Whereas Sawatari did not have fear, but then it kind of indicates this idea that at some point the Ghost Devil realizes this is Aki and gives this last cigarette to him. I don't know what the whole easy revenge thing is. I don't know if that's just there's some phrase that some Japanese writer wrote thinking that it was sounded cool or something like that. It's easy revenge, yeah. It's a typical Japanese thing. They think things sound cool. I guess it could be implying that Himeno wanted Aki to get his revenge. That's what Aki's been driven by, was the Gun Devil. He wants his revenge. That's the only reason he's here. So maybe that's like an indication of like, well, I want you to have her easy revenge. Again, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, question mark, the idea that this Ghost Devil would be willing to let him just crawl on his back and cut his head off. Again, yes, it can only see fear, but does that mean that it doesn't feel anything? It doesn't have any sort of sensation of touch? But yeah, following that, Kobane Ninja pops up out of nowhere and holds up Sawatari, and they finish that side of this whole story. And it's like I said, Denji's fight with Katana Hero, the only thing that they did kind of cut was technically the moment that Denji changes, the Katana Man removes his hand, which has the blade, which later on it sort of indicates, in the manga at least, that blade sticking out of his hand that he just took off, that's his ripcord, essentially. That's what Denji was basically saying later on. Oh, you're just like me. Once I pulled your blade out, it made you come back together. That was the way he's talking about. That's basically his ripcord inside of his wrist. But even at that point, Katana Man does his super duper charge, and that's where Denji says, can we ban that move, because he hates it. But yeah, the fight was decent. Again, I still struggle a little bit with the, every now and then you kind of see that CGI and it kind of looks a little rough, but for the most part, it looked really good. I did really like the callback though, at some point when they're fighting each other and he goes right after his head, chops his blade off, and then Denji says, yes, didn't the old geezer teach you that you don't trust what a hunter says? And again, that's a callback to what Kishibe said, that yes, Denji has evolved to now have blades in his feet. We didn't see that one coming. I do give a lot of credit to have pretty much the final moments of this episode, well, a good portion of the later part of it, centered around Denji's own mind and how he gets revenge. Like, turning into some stupid game. Like, Aki shows up and he's like, oh yeah, let's play a game. He took shots at Himeno, so let's go ahead and take shots at him. Naki's like, no, Himeno wouldn't want that. And then he recalls this stuff about Himeno and he's like, all right, yeah, let's do it. All right. Are you hearing up there, Himeno? We're playing a requiem for you, kicking him in the nards over and over again. It's a nice little way to wrap things up in a Denji way. Because yes, in Denji's mind, this guy took away one really hot girl from the world. And that's where we get a wrap up into pretty much a tease for future content, hopefully another season. I haven't seen anything on it yet. But yes, Makima giving like a full briefing about everything that happened. That Sawatari made some sort of contract with the Gun Devil, was giving weaponry to the Yakuza, and yes, was after specifically Denji's heart. And when they asked why they were after his heart, she's like, oh, well, we don't know because Sawatari's dead. I did get a kick out of Kobane's reaction to that one. She's like, I just don't want to be here anymore. The only reason she's there is because their bonus is coming up soon. But she did note they got enough flesh of the Gun Devil from that particular facility that they now have enough that it's now going towards the Gun Devil. So they pretty much hinted at this point, we're ready to go find him. Now, they, of course, cut off where exactly the Gun Devil is. America, probably. Probably America. Totally America. It's totally going to be America. But again, unfortunately, we're not going to know for now. We did get a brief shot of Denji going to see the door once again, says that Pochita's inside there, calls to Pochita to come out, and then Pochita says something to the effect of, don't open this door. So my assumption is that they're sort of giving some sort of visual to possibly, this is the door that if Denji goes beyond this, he becomes the devil. Like, you are right now in that middle zone. You're still human, but you have devil inside of you. And if you open this door, that's the point in which you're going to become the Chainsaw Devil. And so Pochita doesn't want him to go beyond that door because then he'll lose everything about himself. So that's probably somewhere, I don't know, 50 chapters later on where Denji unlocks all of his ability and they think that they completely lost him, but then somebody pulls him back out of it. Fun little ED, kind of showing everybody in casual. I felt like the whole scene with them inside of the room was a little bbit drug out, or at least the part where Aki goes outside and has a cigarette. I mean, that stuff just, I know it's cool and artistic, but it kind of felt like it just kind of said, oh, well, we have this much time left in the episode, so let's just drag this out a little bit longer. Like, it didn't even feel that long when I read it in the manga. But yes, we got one brief final scene, and based on me reading a little bit ahead in the manga, this is a scene that's sort of indicating what's to come. And it's a character introduction. They do this a lot with a lot of series, but it definitely wasn't right here. They obviously put this here to go, hey, tease. But I won't get into what that is all about. But yeah, like I said, solid episode, but again, I felt like it was very anticlimactic with the fights themselves. Like, these are like the big ending fights, and they just felt like they just ended like that. I almost forgot, yes, Power jumping out of the elevator was fantastic. Hey, keep quiet, they don't notice this yet. I am Power. Just jumps in there. Hey, Denji, come with me, and he just completely stays behind. But yeah, in the end, the series was great. I was very much so surprised by how much I enjoyed Chainsaw Man. I figured coming to this series, it's just, oh, here's the MAPPA. Everybody's overly blowing it. It's super amazing, but it's not really. It's just a typical overly hyped shonen. But they did some really cool stuff in the series that really did have me hyped up. Now, admittedly, a lot of that hype was centered around Makima. So I'm really kind of unsure about the series, just because when I really do sit down and think, like, okay, what was so crazy about this series? 90% of it was Makima. And that's the sad thing. Like, Makima, the way they portrayed Makima is that she's terrifying as hell. And I like that aspect. It's kind of, like I said before, it kind of reminds me of like The Boys, where you have this one person that's able to just make people's heads explode. And so you have this fear of like, any moment now, my head could just explode. I don't even have to see them, but I'm done. And that kind of fear of some unknown threat is able to literally crush you into nothingness at a moment's notice is terrifying. But again, like I said, everything else, I'm not really feeling it. Yes, the whole fight between the Katana Devil and Himeno and Aki, that was really cool. But sadly, a lot of the stuff around like Denji fighting and stuff like that just felt... And that's my fear is, does this series beyond this have legs? And and again, I'm not going to get into spoilers. What I've gotten into, flipping into a few more chapters ahead, there's one thing that might be pretty cool, but we'll see. I'll be really curious to see if this does get a second season, because it didn't really feel like I think we only got through maybe 40 chapters, and I think there's like 120 chapters. So we have plenty more content to go through. I know a lot of people are saying that we might get another season in a couple of years. Yeah, based on MAPPA's schedule, because they have a lot of stuff already kind of planned for the next year. But depending on how well this is doing for them as regards to manga sales, which seems like it's good, maybe there's a possibility that we can see more this next fall. But again, it took them forever just to get this out. But I think that was more due to scheduling, not necessarily that they were trying to animate it for 3 years. But again, like I've been telling a lot of people lately, a big core issue that we have right now is that a lot of these studios are overbooked. There's way too much shows coming out. MAPPA's got 2 shows that are doing next season. And then they have I think 3 other series that they've already announced they're doing, and they've released trailers for them. So MAPPA's kind of tied up. So we'll see what things go from here. But if MAPPA's outsourcing all their in-betweens to China anyways, it's not like they have to animate it. So I guess it doesn't matter. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on the finale of Chainsaw Man, episode 12. Again, really enjoyed this series way more than I thought I would. I just think it's super crazy, super gritty, a little bit vulgar in certain ways that are really entertaining. The Denji puke scene was just... I still can't get over that. I will do a review eventually. Hopefully people don't get too angry, because I'm going to actually say some possibly negative things. And I know people really hate when you don't like everything about a show. So with that said, if you are not already, make sure that subscribe button to get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, I'll be doing some top lists for the entire year. Yes, it is time to do our best of the year, and I'm dreading it. But additionally, if you like my content and you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. We also have a membership button there. Recently had Sabanasu join as a member. I greatly appreciate the support, and y'all take care.